world out there. On today's episode, we are going to be looking over this Fender Mod Shop Stratocaster that a customer brought to me that he purchased directly off the Fender website. Now, no, I'm not affiliated with Fender in any way, shape, or form. I'm just a luthier in Northwest Georgia that works on stuff for my customers and whatnot. And I like doing these little videos so people can kind of get to know what to expect if they order something off the internet. And so I'm going to be doing a series of different things from cheap guitars to fairly expensive guitars. This one, you know, happens to be a Fender Mod Shop. This one has a really beautiful rosewood neck on it. And it's a silver burst Stratocaster with a humbucker and 2 noiseless single coils. So anyway, we're going to get this thing on the bench. Just looking at it at a glance over the whole thing here, though, I noticed the finish is really nice on it. They did a great job on the finish work on it, and it's really nice and high gloss looking. This one is a hardtail string through the body. The neck is beautiful. You know, overall, the fit and finish is great on this thing. But the one thing I did notice when I got it out of the case is it has very, very high action, and the bow to the neck is pretty extreme. So one of the first things I want to do, the fret ends are a little sharp as well on this guitar. So I want to get it on the bench and we'll kind of look it over and see what it's going to need here, and I'll kind of explain as I'm doing it. And I hope you all enjoy the video. First thing we have to do is get the straight edge, put it on this neck so I can determine how much bow is in the neck. Sorry, I'm doing my best here since I've just got 2 hands and I'm trying to film at the same time, so please bear with me. As you can see, there's a lot of bow. This is how this guitar came from Fender. Looking over the frets overall, they're not very shiny. They're kind of dull and they're sharp on the ends. My customer doesn't want me to do anything to the frets just yet. He wants to get it set up and play it a little bit before we go in and do any fret work really. The ends are squared off, very sharp, and you can see the frets look dull. If this were my guitar, I would have to do this fret work. I couldn't play it otherwise. It's time to get the truss rod tightened up, get the neck straight. This truss rod had a lot of bow to it, so as you can see, I'm having to turn it several times, which I don't like doing. I like doing small turns to get it where I want it, but this had excessive bow in the neck from the factory. Next up is we get out the fret rocker so we can check the frets to see if there's any high frets. I've had this fret rocker for probably over 30 years now. As I work my way down the neck, I find probably a half a dozen high frets. Of course, the fret rocker doesn't really tell us if there's low frets, but it tells us about the high frets. So if we need to do fret work, then we can go back, and when we run our radius block across the neck, then we know if there's low frets because we can physically see them. Once again, my customer isn't wanting any fret work done, so I'm only doing what I have to do. It's time to get the strings off of this thing. This particular guitar is fitted with locking tuners from the Fender Mod Shop. As we pull the strings off, I unlock the strings out of the tuners themselves. Then I cut the ends off of all the strings so when I pull the strings through the hardtail, the strings don't bind up in the saddles. Now I get out my StewMac fret kisser. This allows me to level some of the high frets that aren't too out of whack without having to go into greater detail with a radius block. Now I'm going to crown the frets that I just ran the fret kisser over. Now I'm going to use my little broom to dust the shavings off between crowning the frets and making sure I get the proper crown on them. The file I'm using here is to cover several high frets in one area and level them off. It's important to make sure they're leveled correctly by checking them with the fret rocker. Then crown them with the crowning file. I always double check my work with the fret rocker. Now we're going to run the StewMac erasers across starting at 220. They work their way up in grit, so the grit gets higher as you go. I believe 220, 400, 800, 1000, 1200, 2000, 4000, and 8000 as we work our way up. If you're not experienced, it's smart to use a fret guard when you're doing fret work to protect your fingerboard. It's very common for your tuners to be loose from the factory, so I always double check them and tighten them down and do adjustments as needed. You don't want to over tighten them because you don't want to crack the headstock. Now I'm applying conditioner to the fingerboard. Now we're going to let the conditioner set and soak in a little while. Then clean it off and reapply as needed. Make sure you wipe it off good. As you can see, the frets are much shinier than they were. Now we're going to put the strings on the guitar. As we put the strings on the guitar, we pull the strings through the tuner, pull them as tight as possible, and then lock the strings down with the locking tuner so we have few wraps. Doing one string at a time, repeating the same process over and over. Now I tighten down the strings a bit with my string winder. Then trim the excess string off. Now it's time to tune the guitar to get it fairly close. I do this with it laying flat on the bench to get it close. Then I stretch the strings as I tune. I noticed that the nut slots weren't deep enough, so I file them a little deeper in the areas I see that are too high and hard to press. Now I'm adjusting the action at the bridge. adjusting the saddles up or down, whichever needed. Now tuning the guitar again, trying it out.
I noticed that some of the slots aren't deep enough.
I addressed those as well. Now setting the intonation. My overall conclusion of the Fender Mod Shop that I have here in the shop is overall, this is a great guitar. I'm a little disappointed, though, I have to say, in the setup work that they did, which is very common with production model guitars. The fretwork is iffy, you know, there's loose nuts and bolts here and there, and the normal stuff, and some sharp fret ends. My customer didn't really want me to address most of this stuff. I had to address a few frets down here, and I had to address about 3 frets up here in order to get enough buzz gone away to get the action down lower. They also put a pretty skimpy truss rod in these. I wish they would do something a little better with that, a little more heavy duty, and maybe a dual action type of truss rod sort of thing in here. I would like to see more of that in production model guitars, but in the name of the game of the production world, it's about getting the value down lower for them to build so they can make more money on top of it. But aside from that, you know, this thing, overall, it's pretty good. Overall, I'm going to give this Fender Mod Shop a C+. Of course, ordering guitars can vary when you order them online like this. I hope my video helps you if you're thinking about ordering a Fender Mod Shop. Thank you for watching, and I hope you think I was fair. Please make sure to subscribe and also set your notifications so you know when my new videos drop.